Welcome everyone to the 254th weekly MLP Drawing School live critique stream. It's January 12th, I believe, 2021.
Yeah.
Somehow we're in another year and it doesn't feel like it because I don't know about you, but I still haven't
No,
left my
there's
house.
no time yet. Time doesn't exist yet until we'll get back out there.
just been just been buried in this house, barricaded to try and stop the non-zombies from getting in.
It's on the formula
Yeah.
like that.
Hello,
Uh,
Solis. Sec, I
It's
think
just
the
it's it's just a bunch of players in a game like trying to get XP, and you're like, oh god, no, I'm the last enemy remaining.
Absolutely. That is what it feels like. So as you can hear, we got Fluffy's Eye joining us.
What? Nice.
Okay. Apparently he's not joining us anymore. He is, in fact, just collecting the little fluff pellets that are left around so he can level up his fluff knight.
Are we like a idle clicker now or something?
Yes.
Is that nice? Where's our money? Where's our sweet whale money?
It's kept in the bank of Alley Claw.
Oh heck
You
yeah!
didn't lose the key, did you?
The code was 12345, right?
That's the same code as I use for my luggage. I'll keep that Spaceballs joke in the side. So, as always, if you have any art, feel free to fire it at us. You can either do it in the Picarto chat or ping us in our voice chat on
Get a
Discord.
headshot for more XP.
Yeah. Uh, you can mail it to Fluffy's Eye after stalking him for a while to figure out his address.
I usually
Send
get
some
anxious
chocolate.
whenever I see a letter, so I might end up ignoring it by accident. But if you
That's
if
why
you
you
put
gotta put
chocolate on it,
chocolate with it. If you put
yeah, you
chocolate
gotta
with
you
it,
gotta tape it to the outside, then I'll see the
uh huh.
chocolate.
Yeah. All right, let's get in on this one. So the first picture we have submitted this week is by the Timberwolf. It's at the top left-hand corner.
Cutie patootie alert!
Cutie patootie.
Very petite. Also very cute.
So they have listed this as Wolfie Shy.
That sounds familiar.
No questions or comments. For your next one, because it does seem you're posting quite a bit, can you be sure to ask some questions? Because we love directed questions. It helps us know what you're having issues with, so we can further narrow down our.
Even if it's just like you might not have any particular idea, you just sort of want general feedback, but like that's okay. It just helps. It helps you, I think, to have a think about what exactly it is to that you want help with. That's actually sort of gets you started on sort of analyzing the piece. So it's helpful. It's helpful for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get to work. So it does seem to hold up pretty consistently with the style they have been developing, playing with. Just looking over some of their other posts. Do 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 do. Horse. Lots of horse.
Of course, of course. I'm trying to think. Something's feeling a little off with the shoulders here. I think it's just that maybe this back shoulder is popping too much towards the front, where it could be pulled back a bit. Like if I were to draw to the side here. Super cute pony being all cute. Do 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 do. And like it's nice to have that little like I think it's cute when you have the shoulders come up, kind of like tuck your head in a little to do like the extra cute little like oh. So you have like the shoulders kind of. Let me get the head. Let me get the. It's nice to have the head as reference too. Holding the hoops together. Maybe get the one a little closer to the tummy. And you can get some floofy chest pulse. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, I definitely think having that sort of action line can really help because it really helps to add a flow like that. It helps to give energy and motion to the picture, even if it's just like the character's not literally in motion. It sort of helps it feel more dynamic.
Maze, I suspect the tail looks like a wolf because the character is a wolf,
Yeah, that's
like a
not an
wolf
accident.
pony.
Yeah. I think because it has the I get that too because it has like the same color as the
Hmm.
main fur coat color. So, all right, the sketch I did is really messy. I did it in 2 seconds, but yeah, just exploring that, getting that like angle, really pushing it, like oh, daddy, oh,
Oh, just
sweetie.
so cute. Just
I
cute
know.
as a button. Now I'm gonna murder your family.
Don't you want to give me a boop and free candy? That's what we're going for, right?
Totally.
She can have a cookie.
A cookie? What pony wouldn't want a cookie? Let's be honest.
Boop toot.
Getting too ambitious. I'm not used to. I don't know what it is. It's not. Anyway, I would just tuck the shoulder in. We have this body here, and we have the chest fluff coming out nice and pretty. And maybe we have it tucked up a little bit, but I think it goes out just a little too far. Arms are hard. Arms. The anthroponies. They're silly, strange creatures. They just
I think we can just agree that ponies are strange creatures, and everything around them is also awkward.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Like if I'm doing a box for you here, let me get a different color. Yellow's not what I want. Blue, sure, blue. Let me get a thicker pen. I'm getting kind of this box angle for your chest, so tucking the shoulder more in line with that, like the circle will be here, so a little more peek up over the edge this way, and not so much outward as you have it. Not that that was the line you drew. Yeah. That's my 2 cents. Keep in mind the direction of the body.
Now, is that two Canadian cents or two American cents?
I mean, it is fun to say
Good
two
common
bits.
sense.
Well, obviously we have none of that.
Who has that these
And if Pixie were here, I'm pretty sure they'd bring up a good point of pushing that angle a bit when you're drawing a body. So over here, I just drew a little bean, right? We want a nice little curve to the body. So something that can really benefit and push that movement of the curve is to have that one long straight line and then like a little crinkle. Because when something bends on the other, like one side's bending in and the other side's stretching out, and that'll just improve the whole overall bend to the whole figure. You can have like a little crinkle there, and the butt comes out, and not that far. You don't need that much junk. The leggies. Get the leggies. Oh, yeah. Ramble. Sorry for my rambles, but they're rambly today.
Just grabbing those two pictures that were submitted on our stream. Um, I am going to need to like make room for them because someone decided to make their canvas only large enough. I'm not quite sure where to put these. Oh, there's a critter that is being drawn on the side.
Kitty patootie. They're not here. What do you mean? They're not.
Can I change? No, I can't change how large the canvas is. Okay. Well, if y'all could make a new layer for yourself, what we're going to do is we're just going to paste these over on a different layer. We're just going to work on a completely different other layer set for these. That makes sense, right?
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, sure, why not?
Just resize a bit. Ooh, this one's huge. Okay. So this one's just gonna go. Oh. Okay. We're gonna drag this all the way to the top. And just put your layers above layer 7 for whatever one you're going to be drawing on for this go.
Did you get the second one as well, Zom, in the critique channel?
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw it.
Just get in there. You've all made a second layer for yourself?
I will in a moment. Boom, new layer.
Okay. So we're going to do DOPs first because they asked first. That's how it works. First come, first serve, and all that. So they are the Glimmer. Stuff I like, splashy colors, angles, some of the face. Stuff I don't like, random bits of the anatomy here and there. Head shading is a bit tepid by comparison. Texture is bland, but I don't know how to do that, so that's fine for now. Oh, and the eyes came out a little wonky. Tried something a little different, and it's strong points, but the flat black lines are a little bit too strong. And she might be a bit cross-eyed. Oh, and other things, that's multiply shading. There's just a layer on top and just put it over the lines so they don't stick out as much in places and don't get swallowed up entirely. Cutie mark. But hey, it's a pony. Okay.
I'm just a pony.
This is where I was quiet. I had to mute so I could reply to an important message. But I'm back. Where did I put my tablet? There it is.
What's the important message is, are you a pony?
It was actually.
Oh. Huh. Cool.
No, I had an admin message me on a site about a tracing of my artwork.
Do
Respond to that.
you have any questions in particular, Doc? I don't know if they can
Nope.
actually hear us.
They're in the stream chat, I believe. Like the actual stream.
So they can hear us, but 20 seconds later. Wait, they are typing.
Responding in the Discord.
We do
Yep.
like conversations in multiple locations.
So just so we can really get confused, starting back and forward between everything.
It's important that you're as confused as we are confused.
We also need to get our exercise in, going from one page to another. You have to run all that way.
Remember, we still accept carrier pigeons. We do have to ask no smoke signals after the last fire trying to send us messages.
Yeah, no more of that, unfortunately. Also, none of us have a fax machine, I think.
I do. I just don't have a fax
You do?
line.
Okay. I only vaguely know how fax machines work. I bypassed that technology a little bit.
Not specifically. I think probably shading is the less. Okay, so they're basically asking about shading is the most particular information, or probably the shading is the most interesting bit to me, but I'm not going to be picky. Last time people went off on something I didn't expect and found it quite informative. So let's just go to the left. First question is, what happened to her other leg? I'm trying to figure out how the hip is designed on her, and it's
So it's over here, right?
right.
So it's like mid walk. So if the drawing I have going up here, it'd kind of be stretched back. It's just out of sight. It's one of those weird ones where it's like you want to add it, but really in that position, it's just out of sight. And I think shading would benefit it here because it doesn't pop from the other leg at all. It needs to be much darker. It needs to have that separation. Um, to really give the idea that like, oh, the other leg is behind there. We don't see a lot of it, but from what the peakiness we see, it's there.
Excellent. That sounds like a great service. I wonder how much effort it'd be for me to set up a virtual fax line again.
Oh no.
Virtual. Okay, well, while you guys critique, I'm gonna set up a virtual fax number. It's fine. It's only apparently a few dollars.
Look what you've unleashed. Now everyone will be faxed to Pony. That doesn't sound too bad.
If I got faxed to Pony, I would giggle for like at least a minute.
There was that time that Fine Line emailed me. Stop, stop.
It wasn't me. It was Fine Line.
It was Fine Line, of course, yeah.
Okay, so at $4.99 a month, I can receive 100 faxes. Okay, okay. We can write it off as a business expense because this is a not-for-profit, as we have not made any profit.
Maybe you haven't, but I got toonies looking at me right now that say otherwise.
Did I ever send you a toonie?
No.
Okay.
Wish.
I haven't seen a toonie in a while. I don't know what this physical money thing is. Okay, so let's talk their horse. Shading, yada yada yada. Instead of talking about money, your ears interest me in the way that they're sort of like a marshmallow jammed onto the head. I get what you're going for, where they're like pulled behind, but horses have them in the last 3/4 of the side of the head. Whoop. Let's just head shape this. Oh my gosh. It's like my hand doesn't agree with my hand. Okay. So your ears are stuck out in that back quadrant from the looks of it, which is good, but then the shape is just odd. It's like you've done that sort of sad dog folded down ear feeling, but without showing the fact that the ears generally point forward without rotating back. I don't know if they possess the muscles to do a full ear rotation. Although I've never dissected a horse. Side down fold. So what I would do, if you're going for the side down folded, is include the fact that there's the inside of the ear, and I like to include a little bit more of. Just erase this chunk here. So if you do inside, but then just give it a little butt on it, and that helps create that second ridge that would form because the ear's flopping down. If you go to your local dogs, there's got to be some somewhere. You're just going to start petting it, and then you're going to look away from it, and its ears are going to go whoop down because you're no longer petting it. That's the look you're looking for. Horses are wrong. Real horses are wrong. It's not allowed, CPC. Okay, so I'm proved.
Facts.
Real horses have proved me wrong here. Wow. That is a high speed horse there. Yeah. Honestly, I love using dog ears for my horse ears because, like, I want to pet a dog. I don't want to quite pet a horse, especially that one. Wow.
What are you talking about? It's great. It's beautiful.
It looks like it's possessed.
It does.
Be your friend, okay? Let them be your friend. Anyway, back to the horse at hand.
No, at hoof.
Oh. At
And hoof.
All right. For your shading, it looks this is a good start for shading. You've done some like soft shell shading, and you're working in some of the shapes. My suggestion is if you're going to do multiple passes like this, I like to go ahead and take the blur or blending tool, depending on which one feels happier for you, and just try and smudge together the shading. You'll still be using the gradient that you've left down, but it's going to just even out some of those tones. You still want to leave the darkest tone that's hanging around the back and the lightest tone that's hanging around the front. You just want to sort of even out these insides. That's personal preference. A lot of there's cell shading says differently, but cell shading is usually done on only 1 to 2 tones, stepping down. Doing the 5 or 6 steps you've done is a bit excessive for that sort of
Something
normality.
I might suggest above all that is use a bigger brush. Start with a larger brush while shading. Um, Work big to small. General like shading to detail shading. It's very easy to get caught up in like the very small strokes and details and build out from there, but really get the overall feeling of where your shadows are, because you can start off with like a soft shadow and always go darker. Now, yes, in digital, of course, you can always go dark and come back because it's digital, right? Like magic powers, superpowers, digital super wonderland. Um, but using that bigger brush will give you those smoother shadows to begin with. And then you can get those detailed shadows. And even with the smaller brushes in the details, you can get stuff like little shadow hair tufts, or even same with the reverse, getting some light hair tufts. And it works nicely that way. So like maybe think about using a bigger brush, even if it means coming off a little messy at first. There's tools in digital that help you keep things in line. You can make masking layers, clipping layers. There's so many fun layer things to play with, and even not you can still make a new layer in general and just erase away the spots that go over where where they don't hit, sort of a thing.
All right, shall we move on to our next one, or do you have any further questions for us? It's definitely one of those pieces where I spent so long that the technique changed. Small brushes. Sounds like a play, please. Piece. Keep playing.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that. So keep trying. If you find yourself spending hours upon hours on one piece and you're kind of lost, bring it in, ask questions, and start fresh. Sometimes it's best to take what you've learned from all your playing and try it again, and not necessarily like redraw the exact same piece. Just take the techniques and try something new with a different piece. Like it doesn't have to be the same piece, because I think this is the second time you've drawn this piece. Correct me if I'm wrong. I sometimes just peek through the chats. I could have sworn you drew this once before, unless it's the same one. Again, I could very much be wrong. But yeah, just keep having fun. Always look at. There's so many things on YouTube about painting. So many things. There's like a 10-minute how to paint video, which I know sounds hokey, but has so much information to it. There's so many videos. If you need videos, poke chat, ask somewhere, look through tutorials. We have a little tutorial channel. There's so many.
Hmm.
I could just be crazy DOP. I'm quite crazy. It's very possible.
I
All
was
right.
distracted, but did we mention how it the word sketch is used a lot, but this is more line art than anything.
We're on the Trixie.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, we aren't on the Trixie. Glim Glam.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Glim Glam. The same horse.
I'm trying to catch up with things.
All right. Let's go to the one above this one. I think that Red Panda's getting a ticket. Okay, so
Clicked on the wrong
who was this? This was Eve. Eve,
Eve.
you got any
It's not
questions in
Eve.
particular for us?
I think they did, but it's buried in the cuteness.
Yeah. Can you reiterate your questions for us? Because we've lost it under horses. Mainly if you're doing the whole drawing process correctly. That's actually a hard answer because everyone does the process differently. We can give you pointers, we can tell you how we do ours. Like from my standpoint, I often do a thumbnail or a few quick sketches, just throw down some lines and see how they stick if I can get the base hose out, play with that a bit, some of the elements hanging around in the picture, play that about, and then I go into refining, whether that means a whole new sheet or just working up to darker and darker lines. That's how I work through mine. But I know Fluffy's Eye and Alley Claw both have a different process than that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out, Huffy Lime, and all claps, the best process is the one that works for you because, as Zom said, anything goes in art. So it depends on your goals, what you want to accomplish, what you want to learn. There's so many dependencies on there's no wrong process basically. So if you have a different question, that might be a little more helpful. Also, what are you using to draw? Is this vectoring? Is this just to get an idea?
It looks pretty rastery based on some of the lines.
Yeah. So this is what I was mentioning before. A lot of these say, the sketches. I understand that to mean, the process that you are applying or trying to figure out the particular segment that you've named, like the hair or the hat or whatever. But really, these don't look like sketches. The lines look more like line art to me. Sketches is more in the line of what I'm doing right now and messing around with this. Oh no! What is happening? Why am I? Everything's disappearing.
This was made in paint.net.
I used to use that a long time ago.
Um,
Long time ago.
so Paint.net is a very good piece of software if you're looking for an upgrade from Paint, like
Yeah,
Microsoft Paint.
I used to use it in conjunction with Paint to make my pictures before I discovered GIMP.
The the thing I highly suggest is stepping away from it and going to a other piece of free software that will more cater to what you're trying to do. Yeah, Krita. If you're going for just using your mouse to draw stuff, maybe look into the vector side of this thing with like
Yeah.
Inkscape.
If you want into vector, if you want to do something like this where you're using shapes and lines, but you're not specifically into vector, I would recommend trying vector because the process I'm about to explain will make it obvious why when I did learn vector in college, it would like immediately clicked with me. But what I used to do, so I used to use Paint.net when I first started drawing. What I would do was I would scan drawings in, I would go over them with the line tool on MS Paint. Then I put them into Paint.net to use like the brightness and contrast thing, slam it up to max so that only full black remained, which was the lines that I drew on Paint. Everything else that was part of the original photo was like erased, and then I go back to Paint and just paint bucket from there. But then I discovered GIMP, and what I would do is take the sketch into GIMP, and I would use the path tool, and what that does is you like drag out an invisible line, um, so you have like the little points they go like this, and it'll be like, oh, here's how you're dragging it out, and then you drag out the line to however you want it to be, and it's purely just with the mouse. And then, but that's not actually a line; it's just like an invisible thing. And then you tell GIMP to stroke the line, and you can tell it to stroke it with particular tools or just with a line. So I would use a 1 pixel pencil, so no anti-aliasing, however you pronounce that word, just like this, but like a single pixel, so it looked like this. And then I would just fill in those those blocks with color, just with the paint bucket tool, and then on the layer above it, I would stroke the same path with a thick, nice soft line. And then so then I had a nice soft line, but I didn't have to go through the process of hand coloring everything. And that's basically how I drew pictures for a while. And then I tried to figure out how to actually draw with my tablet, and picked up Manga Studio 5 that had just come out, which of course is the same thing as Clip Studio. And so I actually I think I tried Psy before that. Psy was the first thing I tried with actually using my tablet. But I was still learning and everything, and then I went to Clip Studio before I really got a handle on Psy. It all matters, what you use. I would suggest trying different programs. Krita is another free one we mentioned, so you can try that. There are, I think, is Medibang free? I can't remember.
Medibang's
Um,
free, yeah.
yeah, so you can try that one as well. I couldn't try that one for more than 5 minutes personally. It was an immediate no, but that's just because I was already used to Clip Studio by this point, and everything was just wrong. But you can always try that, and it might resonate with you. There's all sorts of free programs. You can look it up online. Some of them may be Vector, which isn't working with pixels. It's working with mathematics and shapes. So you're just telling the computer, like, this point goes to this point with this stroke and this fill. So it's a lot cleaner, and you can resize everything, and you can always edit and reshape everything. So Vector might be what you want, or maybe you do want to learn how to draw with a tablet if you have one, or if you plan on getting one, and just see which program resonates with you the best.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I guess the biggest question here is what's your goals? I know you came here asking if the way you're doing it is working, but what's your goal here? Are you just drawing Pony to have fun with Pony? Are you trying to learn anatomy? Are you trying to you just want to draw your OC and then tap out of drawing? What's some tangible goals? I'm not saying mastering drawing here, but like what's a tangible goal you're looking at?
Yeah, the next pony along is sniffing that pony's tail.
I mean, it's so fluffy. You just want to like bury
So
your head in
fluffy.
the softness.
Yeah, the spine sort of goes along the back like this to where the tail is.
So, let me ask this for certain. Did you do this with a mouse or with a drawing tablet? With a mouse. Okay. Nothing wrong with using a mouse. I have this thought that like if you're having fun, you're doing it, whatever, you're having fun doing your thing, great. Don't ever let anyone tell you it's wrong to have fun with a mouse. But if you
You're
want to
wrong.
learn to
Ah.
draw, let me, I'll get
Damn
you.
it.
But if you want to learn to draw, get drawing implements. It's like if you want to learn to paint, you don't grab a brick, right? There's some things
You
about
good?
drawing that I mean, you could literally you could make anything with any piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
But something about drawing, getting that pencil, you just even going back pencil paper. If you want to
Yes.
learn to draw something, drawing is a specific skill, right? Just like painting
Mm-hmm.
is a specific skill, and learning each medium is a specific skill. Making art, you don't. There's no rules. You can make anything you want with art. But if you want to learn the skill of drawing, I'd step away from the digital. Use pencil, paper, and just like have fun doodling, have fun like, scribbling with that pencil, it's a whole heck lot easier, and it's a lot better for your wrist, and you get a lot better movements with your full arm and your wrist, your shoulder, and your elbow. You'll get much smoother movements, which produce better lines,
Yeah.
which make things, go a little more smoothly. You get less
Mm-hmm.
like squiggly, like, because you can't really stabilize with a mouse unless you have super like
Yeah.
stabilizer or
I
vectoring.
I am 100% an advocate of learning to draw with a paper and pencil anyway, because like you can learn to draw
Mm-hmm.
digital after that, but I think the best learning happens with a pencil and paper. But if you're drawing with a mouse and not with a tablet, then 100% you can't learn to draw very easily with a mouse. And I've seen some artists who specifically do vector, and I think this particular artist I'm thinking of can't draw with their hand, like they might have a hand thing, if I remember rightly. They draw with Inkscape, and they literally build their characters by just dragging out circles and doing all the construction using geometric shapes and actually draw everything with their vector thing. But it's really a very static and stiff process to it stifles your creativity. You've got to be able to sketch everything out and feel everything, and you can't do that if you're just putting lines down and trying to think clinically. Vector and processes like this that use the mouse are very. When I did vector, like the one thing that I noticed more than anything else was art is about creativity and exploration. Vector is about problem solving. It's a completely different feeling and a completely different way of thinking from doing normal art, which made it very interesting. But you've got to sort of keep that in mind that it will have a different thought process, and that thought process doesn't really lend itself much to the exploration process of like figuring out how a drawing's going to go. That kind of thing is best done to paper and pencil, even if then you just scan it and vector it.
Mm. And like if you sit here, listen to it, try, like, I highly always recommend with critique, hear it, try it. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you like it, keep doing it. So if you just want to continue with mouse, go for it. But I think the general consensus here is get yourself some pencil and paper. CPC is also saying it in chat as well. I know Zom hasn't said anything yet, but I won't speak for Zom. But yeah, get that pencil, get that paper.
Never
You
leave
want
the
to learn
pencil and
traditional.
paper.
Yeah, it's true. Zom's hardcore traditional, which I
Yeah,
support
and that's
and love.
fine. It's great.
It tastes the best.
It does. It
It
feels. I
does.
will not lie. Nothing beats the feel of working traditionally. A tablet
Mm.
can never, never, never
I
replace
know
that.
the feel.
There's like a whole other feeling,
Yeah, I
like a
definitely
good
remember
one
the taste of chewing on pencils as well.
too. Chewing on pencils, making the paint. Like, I used to like just love when paint would get on my shirt and just be like, yeah, you know what?
I'm
This
an
is just
artist. Look at
working
me.
with me. Yeah. It's, you know.
Yeah, I totally get. I was I never got into painting. I've done it before, but I just never really got into that or sculpting. I tried clay sculpting. I'm
Oh,
terrible
I
at it.
love working with my
It's
hands.
fun,
I
but
think it's
I'm
just like,
just not. Yeah, and like that's great. I wish I had more appreciation for it, but I've just never been into like arts and crafts or papier-mâché or
oh,
like
I love
whatever.
it.
Like some people absolutely die for it, and I wish I had some enjoyment for it. But like going through like college, whatever with art stuff, like I just was never interested in the hands-on mixed media stuff. I just specifically wanted to stick to drawing. But yeah, to each their own. People who enjoy, like Ali here, who enjoy mixed media stuff, CPC does as well. Like that's wonderful. I think it's cool.
I don't know what, it's just working with my hand. I love very hands-on stuff. Like, drawing's still hands-on, but there's something
I
about
think
like
yeah.
knitting, crafting,
I
claying,
think for me
sewing,
it's
like,
a matter of like I don't really know what I'm doing, and if I did this professionally and gained like a bunch of experience and really learned how to do it, then maybe I could learn to enjoy it. But like starting from scratch and not knowing where to go or what I'm doing just like makes it really hard to be invested in it, I guess. I don't
eh, teach their own. I just like making
know.
things. I'm very much a
It's
maker.
good. It's good. I did some over sketching just to give you some more mechanical advice rather than the general vague advice we've been given. Just to you don't have to do everything exactly this way. I was just doing what I would do to approach the sketch. So turning up the snout a bit because ponies typically have a perkier snout than this. Though if you wanted to go for more of a traditional horse face, that's fine. But I would recommend like figuring out the basis first before you start experimenting with style. And I move the eyes closer inwards. fix the face to give it more of a skull shape rather than just being a tennis ball. Give it some cheek and actual face weight there. Position the ears. But you got the positioning of the ears down, so that's fine. And just gave the mane some more volume. I think this is roughly what you were sort of attempting. If not, it's fine. You don't have to do it this way, but just showing you that sometimes adding more volume to things can really help to make things look nicer. So yeah.
DOP, learning things is hard, but as the famous cartoon dog once said, being bad at things is the first step at being kind of good at things.
And because I imagine LD has probably had the whole thing in view this whole time since it's so long. Do you mind like zooming in on the sketches that I did just so that they have a screenshot?
Yeah, I was just double checking which one you did.
Okay, it was the second one along just because that's where they drew the body and not much else. I'm trying to get to the no Picato.
Picarto.
Being silly. Right.
No more internet stuff. I took it all for all of us. No one else needs it anymore.
I was trying to like go to the MLPDS one because I'd closed the tab somehow, and it was like, you want to go to picato.tv/fluffies, right? And, no.
I feel weirdly talkative today. I apologize if I'm
It's
being
good.
long-winded.
Please, I'm the one rambling.
No, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling.
Sorry, I'm mildly distracted. I'm looking at the latest update. They just put down a lockdown in place for Ontario. I'm seeing what it means. So far, it sounds like nothing has changed except for some other businesses might be forced to close. But it sounds like I still have to go to work, and everyone else does too.
Can I still come up there? It seems less scary in Canada right now.
As long as it's considered essential travel, it's fine.
I essentially need a hug from Zamzam.
All right, let's go on to our next one then.
Oh, cool.
And Alley Claw can start traveling via horse to go pick up her hug. Layer 7. Everyone else just wants to shut off their layers. I'm just going to shut off every layer above it. Oh, no, I can't. I can only shut off one. Okay.
I shut off my
Oh,
layer.
I have two layers somehow. I don't know how that.
You should
yeah,
have
we
two.
had to make a second one.
I know why, because I was doing the main sketch on a different layer.
Okay, our next horse. It is by Shadow Assassin 147. May need a little advice. X3. Like 3 times the advice? That's a lot of advice.
I mean, have you heard our advice? It's very rambly. You'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried really hard doing a sort of 3D perspective background that isn't inside, and realized that's a lot more difficult. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I'm happy or how it turned out after a few scenery changes here and there. Cool. I'm not seeing any questions in particular.
This the
Yeah.
Star Warsy one.
Yeah, this is Star Wars one. Suggestion offhand. References. You said you're having some interesting issues with the scenery and stuff. There's a lot of images, both real and virtual, of lava landscapes. But very easy to substitute lava landscapes is just a stream. Because water can be a lava landscape if you just pretend the floor is on fire. So use your references, abuse them, harvest them, put 100 all across your picture and take the elements from it and make sure you can dissect and understand what's going on. Because, holy cow, they might sound like a crutch, but they're a dang useful tool. Art is not made in a void.
Them.
Yeah.
Every artist uses references. Every professional artist who ever has arted uses references. There's no contest to who can be the first to not use a reference. It's always inspiration, reference, figuring things out. All good things. All wonderful. We're pro reference here, as
Yeah.
everywhere else in the world should be.
And like this scene seems to be directly taken from um, Star Wars. So I mean, just starting up that movie, hitting pause on that scene, beautiful. Then everyone can, just share on that reference because it's sort of an established sort of thing going on, and it helps you establish that sort of environment that they're in. Because it was the hot, bubbly death of lava pits as he slowly burns to death with an arm and a leg chopped off.
Rough times. Rough times.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the first thing I would mention, that references could really help with is figuring out what lava looks like, right? I know it feels like a dumb thing to say, but our brains kind of fill in the blanks for things, and we don't usually think about what things look like because our brain's good at taking like snapshots that aren't complete.
Yeah.
Um,
Whenever I think
so
of lava, I sort of think about like the sort of black, craggly, sort of like a glacier, but for heat and rock,
it's
that kind
very
of thing.
thick. I mean, it's literally
It's not
molten
like
rock.
red
It's
water as they
not.
are in video
hmm
games.
Like
Yeah.
here, I just drew over most of the lava you had down by the quote unquote shore. It would be a lot thicker. It'd be a lot rumblier. Not rumbly. That's a bad word. It's very thick. It's not translucent. It's opaque. That's the word. Thank you. It's very opaque. So most you wouldn't see anything through it. The whole thing that lava's doing is it's shooting off light and it's also hardening on top. So you'll have a lot of hard, craggly black specks as well throughout it. Again, lava references. It doesn't even need to be at the angle you want. Just get those references. See what lava looks like moving. See how clumpy and lumpy and it's just so thick. It's a very thick substance. I mean, it's liquid rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Can I? If you do want to go for the sort of dramatic, glowy looking, uh, whatever is that you're going for this scene, I would definitely recommend sort of brightening up that and using it to sort of frame the character.
Yeah, crank that
Really
contrast.
have that light spill out and bleed over the edge so it blurs around the character like this, because then it really highlights just like how bright it is. And often I think with dramatic scenes, having a sort of bloomy effect like that, soft colors and things can actually make things look quite meaningful, whether it's a soft, cute picture or something intense like this.
This is a soft, cute picture. I don't know what you're talking about. I am interested in the trench coat design. Would this be assuming it's like a split tail trench coat, sort of um like a what is those? Split tail tuxedo, like the penguin wears,
I know what you're
or
talking about. I don't know what it's called.
or do they have like a hole cut in the back of their trench coat to allow that tail to come through? And if that's the case, how hard is it to get on and off a trench coat?
Imagine if I had a tail, I'd just put the trench coat over the top of the tail, like a cloak. But we are seeing the overlap here, I guess.
Anyone else got any
First,
other?
at
Oh,
first, I thought that was. I'm looking at it again now. It's kind of hard to see the details unless you zoom in. I thought that like where the tail is was like part of the trench coat, like it was all sort of splintery and raggedy looking. But actually no. Like I thought that oh no, give me a pen, please. I ah, now I need to find a layer that it'll actually let me change to.
make a
Okay,
new layer.
it Aggie doesn't like my tablet. It literally doesn't let me click on layers with my tablet for some reason. So I thought this was the tail, and I thought like all of this was like part of the cloak, and it was just like a different layer of the cloak, like it was going behind. But no, I was looking at it wrong. But I am worried for the tail catching fire though.
Definite fear.
Oh no.
All right. Anyone else have any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we're
No.
gonna move on to our next one.
Honestly, keep it up, keep drawing. Like, this is a really fun, intense scene, and it's really awesome that you pushed yourself to not do like an interior and go to
Hmm.
exterior. So
Yeah.
like, keep that up. This is a really nice drawing.
So I feel like the text is kind of hard to read from a distance. I understand you want like a font that's very like intense and emotional, but it's not very readable from a distance. What happened to my voice there? It's not very readable because it's got lots of really thin parts that sort of blur away when you're looking at it from further away. So you really have to zoom in on the text to see it. Um, it is worth looking at typography and figuring out how to make something clear but still project the feeling that you want, and maybe not just going through the list of fonts on your computer until you find something half decent. Maybe it's worth going on DA font or something and browsing through, actually trying to find like a handmade font that has the feeling, because there's some really cool stuff on there. So you can find something that works. But yeah, I think this is just it does convey like the raw sort of like seriousness and emotion, but it's a little bit, because it's so thin. It loses some of that readability. So I'd look into what makes fonts clear.
What is it? Black, white font, black border, or black border, white font?
That's-
Yeah, there's lots of things, but yeah, I think just really how thin this is makes it, because it clearly stands out well enough from the background.
Mhm.
So it's not about just giving it a border. It's I think just because some parts of it get so thin, like around like the tails of the letters and stuff like that. So you can easily find something that looks sort of like angry, but still has some weight to it. You know, just a minor nitpick.
All right. Let's move on to our next one. It is Ruby Dreams.
You've only done like two of the original.
We'll get there.
Well, see, when you have people to talk to, like the first two, there's a
Yeah,
little more to discuss.
yeah, it's true.
So this one is by uh, Candy Rush. Maybe that's how we pronounce it. I drew my OC Ruby Dreams. What do you think? I didn't have a proper eraser with me, so I couldn't run out the lines well. Heart.
I think they meant to say rub out, but
No, definitely running.
yeah. You gotta exercise your lines.
Mm.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, a lots of artists will do that purposefully anyway, just to practice drawing with sort of more conviction. But yeah, I'm more of an advocate of drawing and having a rubber at hand to sort of undo or lighten things and going over them. I was trying to see what was going on with the legs. For some reason, I almost thought the legs were like sort of robotic prosthetics, but no, these are shoes. So they might just want to overlap a little bit.
Highly suggest getting yourself an eraser. Just the
Yeah, I mean,
little.
it sounded to me like they would have had one if they could.
Yeah. I like to keep a few little pencil cases together of drawing stuff, like a few collections of pencils and erasers just in little bags, so I can
Hmm.
seed them around places. I do have my main drawing stuff, but it doesn't always travel well because it's got some paint and stuff in there. So little bags of pencils and stuff, useful. You just like plop it in a bag, go somewhere. Very cheap too. Like I, all the way down to the cheapest Stedler pencils, to the most expensive. Well, I guess I'm also using Stedler graphite holders, but those are still only like $6. Pencils are cheap. You don't need to blow big money on them. Your
Hmm.
eraser is slightly more important. A nice white eraser or um, high anything high quality silicone.
Needed eraser.
Uh, I'm not the biggest fan of kneaded erasers because they don't have the durability that I like. I don't.
I mean, it depends on the purpose.
Yeah, in my opinion, needed erasers aren't so much for the general corrections of a piece, but more for like softening everything so you can go over it again. That's how I like to use it anyway. But yeah.
I've just never been a fan of them. I really
And you
prefer
tried them because
the
you're Ali.
yeah. I really prefer the pencil style, the like They're just a stick that sticks inside of a holder
Yeah,
because you can really get down to the accuracy you're looking. And I have 3 sizes of those.
I have one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's not the best one.
It really depends. I like because the technique I like with the kneaded erasers is like when you make them into a tip, you can just like slowly wiggle out small details, and you can also roll them across your drawing to make it lighter,
Yeah.
like
Mine are
like
always in this.
later.
Mine is still in the square, but I just sort of like brush one side over the drawing, if that makes sense.
Oh
To
gosh, break
get.
that square, make it kneaded. That's what they're for. You need that sucker, and that's how you get rid of the. That's how you clean it too. You need it
Yeah,
so it
my
gets rid of
first
the
one.
line.
My first one. I think I must have accidentally left it in a place with a bunch of like graphite shavings or something. Because the next time I picked it up, it was just like black. And I spent the whole time like trying to get that off. So I just bought another one in the end. I couldn't clean it.
Yeah, um, there's no wrong answer. I think it's going back to our earlier thing where it's like whatever works for you works. End of story, really.
Just
Horse,
notice this character's Nanocon. Okay.
horse, 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 horse. Anyway, I've just the proportions can use a little work. I'm looking at what you have on your other picture, and it appears as though on your reference that you use, they're full size. So generally, the a simple rule of full sized is they stand 2 heads high. So we have one head, and then the body follows another one, and then the legs follow the last one, and that gets you to around where you're looking for, give or take a little bit, because every horse is different. Unless if you're the show animators who like to just copy paste the characters because it makes life easy.
So I was gonna say, like, I was gonna look at like the legs and proportions and everything, but I felt like it was like part of me feels like this is a very stylistic thing. So that's what I wanted to talk about was if you actually are trying to create a specific style, like if you're more referencing like older pony stuff, or if you've got like a particular style in mind, then that's absolutely great. It's just a case of like referencing and learning from those sources. If you wanted something a bit more shape proportions, my thing isn't totally accurate because this is more in my particular style, but I was sketching out a pony in something a bit closer to shape proportions off on the left here, but yeah, just for your reference. Oh, that's the horn. Not to be confused with a feather.
So I think the gist of this one is totally go for round 2 on this one. You have your character, it
Mm-hmm.
looks like you're trying to draw this character. Go for round 2. Take the suggestions we've given and see if you can reapply them. And then round 3 and round 4 and round 5 and just keep iterating through elements of it. I find that works well, especially early on if I'm trying to get a hold or figure something out. I will focus on small elements. So I'll go, all right, my goal is to get this head working, and I will focus on the head. I'll try and draw on the rest of the body just as good practice, but the head will be my focus. So I'll be like, how am I making this head? And I'll take my references and use them to the fullest of my extent, and start molding out my picture. And it gets you there. And eventually, then you can, work up to the point where you don't need to do those iterative steps. You can do it in 2 or 3 as opposed to 10. Once you build up your library of horse.
The horse library.
I hope that makes sense. Shall we move on to our next one?
Sure.
Oh, actually, I would like to, just before we do that, I noticed your pencil strokes. There are a lot of these jaggedy lines. Um, Very common. Everyone does it. I still do it. Um, it's best to be avoided, especially when you're getting down to the finishing lines. Um, I can't tell you to zoom in because it's traditional. So the secret to traditional and getting those nice smooth lines, draw big. Don't
Yeah.
don't draw small on your paper. Make your horse big. Grab that 8.5 by 11 paper and cover it with a horse. If
And
the
it's like we're
larger it is,
zooming in, but the other way.
exactly, the larger it is, the more room you have to move your arm, because your goal should not to be to draw with your wrist as much as it should be to draw with your arm, because your arm is how you can get those nice, clean, smooth lines. It takes a lot of effort for your wrist to create that type of curve. You can see on this was done with the wrist, and I got little jagged bit over there because, hey, the wrist sucks at this. But if I wanted to do it as a big line, just digital failing me. I wanted to do it as a smooth, nice, clean line. On digital, I would zoom in, get up on that, and do a stroke with the arm. And we can see that there's none of we don't have that starting weird blocky that formed up here, this thingy over there, and it's just generally smoother, more consistent the entire way. But as I said, for traditional, you're going to run into the issue of you can't quite do that. So use a large canvas to get over this. And as your muscle builds up the memory, it'll be easier and easier to work onto those smaller, more detailed elements where you can still get those nice smooth lines, but you're going to be locking your wrist more often. It'll be good. It'll be good. It just takes
Yeah.
time. There is no
Mm-hmm.
shortcut to this. Well, there might be a robotic shortcut, but I don't think there's any shortcut that's sane.
You mean the art button isn't real?
It is. I sell it on my Etsy store.
Secret.
Your Etsy store.
All right, let's move on to our next one.
Woo.
We got this is by Vok Aspiration, a crossover of Sanroyo and MLP Cozy Glow and Kurami being adorable. Little baddies together.
That looks familiar. Part of the design reminds me of Jack Frost from Persona, but I don't. It's not.
It's one of the Sanrio IPs, the people who made Retsuko and Hello Kitty
Oh,
and all
okay.
that. Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. Cool. I like the glowing cupcake that looks very unsafe to eat.
So this is drawn with their finger on their phone.
What? You're lying.
Funny you asked that. I'm pretty freelance and I don't draw much digital as I used to 2 years ago when I was like 14. Also, I use IBS Paint X. I've been drawing digitally with just my fingers on my phone. I can't imagine how many times I hit undo to fix squiggly lines.
Oh, I can't imagine either. My goodness.
Why do you do this to yourself?
It's very impressive seeing the result.
It is. Like if I... Wow. That's a hell of a finger painting.
Basically, what it is. Yeah.
But really, So... Okay. All right, let's just... Get a pen. I know not all of them have fancy like, hey, I can use this pressure sensitive pen and we can do all sorts of nifty angles. Great. I don't care. There's so many nibs and little pens that you can buy just to emulate it being a finger. If you're going to use your cell phone, at least spend the $2 and get one of those because it's going to save your finger and it's going to save those strokes. It's going to make your life happier. Get the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll even Amazon does. I know this exists.
They have a lot of nice third-party pens for most phones. Even if it's just one of those silly like rubber topped little pokey pens. I know some pens are designed to have like pens interact with them, but others aren't. But there are a lot of really nice third party, and they're not too expensive to get.
I think Wacom even built a pressure sensitive universal pen for one of their pieces of software. I'll have to
I
find
will
it one day
say
because I remember them talking about doing that for any digital media or any digital screen. They had a pressure sensitive tracking pen.
I want to agree with your statement.
but it's probably outside of the realm of easy $2 purchases versus getting a nice fine nibbed one from Amazon. I just found steel ones and titanium ones for $8 and $9, and they come in packages of 2. So it shouldn't be hard to come up with one. Just also be careful because it is a way to scratch your screen if there's any debris left on that nub while you're running it around. But it will get you the happier lines. It will improve your art just through tools.
Yeah, especially if you're freelancing.
That's a radioactive muffin.
Yeah, I was commenting on that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Don't really want to know what's in that red teacup either.
Obviously,
are
just Earl
baddies.
Grey.
Oh, red. We took it from the Earl after we murdered him.
Oh my!
Dun dun dun. Well, they are evil. You gotta give them that.
Yeah,
You can tell because they're skulls.
and red sparkles and radioactive cupcakes and cups of tea.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this picture. Especially for something drawn with your finger on a phone. Like, I just want to
The
keep
little
going
black
back to that.
The way you drew the little black and white character is very cute.
Her hair looks very good. Her body shape, mostly there. Looks like was that you, Fluffy? Who did the leg?
Yeah, I did the drawovers of the.
Okay. I really like the curls he did. They definitely
Yeah.
remind me of the little Debbie.
Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
Oh, I think of her with the curly hair.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But
I've had the day before though.
I was thinking the little Debbie
The little
dessert
Debbie
cakes.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Swiss rolls. Swiss rolls. That's it.
Do look like Swiss rolls. They also sort of look like a bunch of like rolls of blue, like newspaper or wrapping paper or something. Mm-hmm. Those things are fun. I used to have one of those like every day in school.
Holy cow! I am
Not
sorry
every
for
day,
your
but
teachers having Fluffy's eye just bouncing off the walls because he's jacked up on sugar.
oh, please, that was like 1% of the candy I'd eat.
Oh, so he just phased through walls. He wouldn't go through
I
doors.
don't
He just
how would a single Swiss roll like drive me to hyperactivity?
I don't,
Carefully.
That's like a very extreme reaction to sugar.
it's like, let me just get the amount of sugar in here.
Have had like biscuits and sweets and stuff every day anyway, so one Swiss roll ain't gonna make much of a difference.
I guess in
And
context, yeah, but holy. Let's see, that's per 2 cakes, you're looking at where's that
well,
sugar? 26. Oh, so they only have 13
so
grams of
half that.
sugar.
So half that if you're eating just one then.
Yeah, so 13 grams of sugar is what you have.
Oh, okay. I thought that was per, but yeah.
Yeah, per 2 cakes is 26.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But don't worry, you're getting 3% of your iron with one of those. It's good.
I'd also have fruit and veggies. I didn't just eat candy growing up, but yes.
Okay, Swedish berries and anyway. And do we have any other comments about this picture before we get
It's
de-rolled?
super cute, and I love the sparklies. and just two cute baddies being cute. That's all I have to add.
All right, let's go on to Trixie. As borderline as we can show on this stream. So this is by Calm Pony. You might remember them from previous streams, like, I don't know, a while ago. No, Fluffy, I implied that your fruits and veggies were still candy. Because Swedish berries are delicious.
Foods and stuff, sort of natural sugars.
A Swedish fish dinner.
What?
No.
I got
Okay.
sent a. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna get us going here. This is by Compony. It's named Trixie, made 2 months ago. All criticism welcome. Thank you. First criticism: come at us with your latest horse. This was made 2 months
Super
ago.
latest.
That's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Although the last picture you did post was 3 months ago, so maybe this is your latest one and you're just getting around to that. Either way, we'd like to see where you are now, because now is more relevant to than the past. I don't care what I ate for breakfast. Okay, what I ate for breakfast 3 months ago. I care what I had for breakfast today, because it's applicable for me now.
There's always things to be learned, but unless you had a specific question about this piece, yeah, it's definitely more helpful to get critique on current pieces. Like, if you're trying to get motivated to get back into drawing, I wouldn't suggest bringing your last piece that you drew like 2 months ago to get critique. Because, like, I mean, I don't know, most of the people I talk to, I guess, so this is very anecdotal, anecdotal,
Anecdotal.
antecedent, sorry, it's story based. But critique's tough. Critique's just basically talking about things that are wrong, and if you're trying to find motivation to draw again after 2 months, I would just focus on drawing again after 2 months.
Yeah.
And if you had more specific questions, ask those questions in the Discord, on the
Mhm.
subreddit. You don't even have to post a picture to ask a question on the subreddit. You can just be like, I'm having trouble getting back into drawing, and I struggle most with, I don't know, bodies. And people can respond and be like, oh, here's some great tutorials, or, like, we wish you well, hope things are going, like, sometimes you
Or
just gotta try
you can just
supportive
be
words.
drawing. Yeah, you could just be drawing for fun and just come to the Discord and share art for fun. Because in the Discord, it doesn't have to be for critique. It can just be to share, and we can all draw together.
Yeah.
Because I honestly,
So.
this is pretty awesome. I can't really fault much of anything. It's pretty great. And like borderline what we can show on the stream. But it's really, really good. I love how you do this. I love the expression. I love the little tufts of like feathery tufts of fur on the ear tips. The way you did those is really
Yeah.
cute. So I always struggle to make ear tip fluff look nice with the style of ears that I do. Like, it's pretty good. Oh, and I love the background. I just noticed like the where you got this sort of like I guess it's like a moon shape, but like maybe it's like sitting over the ocean or something. I'm not sure because the way it's like
Numerology.
broken up into the lines with the grading over them is pretty cool. That's nice and stylistic, but it still sort of frames the character. It's interesting.
I've just added a few lines into the main. Just you have these few little bits of hair that sort of just tuft off and create the saw blades that they can use to chop down trees with. Um, my suggestion would be follow the line through for where it would be going to. So,
Yeah.
if your main body of the hair is doing, here we'll go with this color here. No, blue does not work on blue. If your main body of the hair is continuing down here, I would take this line and bring it up how I did with the red, and just sort of following the main body, leaving a little gap at the beginning to show that breaking off and that it's part of that body, but still separate. It's just to stop it from looking like a saw and more just
I understand
bits of hair.
the vampire bat ponies have like the very messy, spiky sort of hair, but Yeah, there's other ways to show it looking frayed and messy.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on to our next one?
Well,
Let's do it.
And our last one is labeled "Hello" by "I need rent money, please." Don't we all?
Yeah.
Has that worked? Has someone given you rent money just for saying please?
don't know.
Uh,
Any questions?
Are these just like
no.
different experiments of coloring styles, or
I
what's
think
going on
it's
here?
like that one goes into that one, which goes into that one, which goes into that one.
Ah, okay.
Uh,
Well, no,
I think
there's some colors missing from that. So yeah,
it goes that way.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that way.
I
The
was
green
trying to
one.
sort of I was
Green
trying
one.
to sort of figure out if there was like a sequence of here, but I can see that now. Yes.
Or maybe it goes this way and they're actually traveling backwards in time.
Is it like how
Like
SpongeBob draws a
deconstructing their own
circle?
drawing. Yeah.
This is how I do my line art. I fully render the piece and then erase away. Just leave the lines.
It's an interesting jaw shape you've done. The bottom of the jaw, based on how you've done it, it looks wider than the rest of the muzzle. Like it like if you were to look from the front of their face, they would have something like this hanging on them.
Mm-hmm. And I think because this definitely feels like it's going for more horsey. So like something I would keep in mind for a more horsey muzzle, it doesn't dip wide, it dips down. So say this is the main head here in pink. The muzzle, I'll start off with like a circle. And so we kind of got these, they have real big cheekbones, like real honkers. Noisy, noisy. And it dips kind of like, let me draw a little box to get myself. It goes like a circle down and then in. There we go. So that's something to just keep in mind when styling more towards horse. There are other cattle animals that definitely do go for that wider muzzle look. So really, it just depends. And without you here, we can't really ask. So if it is to the more horsey style, unless MLP, I just have it dip down a little instead of dip sideways. That's the word. I couldn't think of it.
The rendering is very interesting. Like how you've built up the colors. I think I think it might have like ended up doing, I don't know, too much on some of the areas. Like the back of the hair here doesn't feel the same as the area of this like pink mane or pink part of the hair color that comes up here. It feels blockier. It feels as though your brush wasn't pulling and blending as much as it was just blopping down some color. I think you should go back to whatever brush you're using for that pink highlighting because it worked well. It worked very well for that, at least in my mind.
Mhm. I agree.
Anyone else got any other comments on this one?
Nope.
Okay. If anyone else has any other art they'd like to submit, please fire it towards our faces.
We have a hit in the Picarto.
Wow. Wow.
Our faces have been hit.
Wait, I made this. Can you take a look? The critique by Suddenly Ponies. Do you have any questions about that critique that was left? I'm just looking at theirs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, Suddenly Ponies gave a great one here.
Where are we?
Not certain about the shoulders pose. Okay, so let's talk about the shoulders. Let me grab this picture. I don't have space, so I'm actually just going to. Oh no, I only need the shoulder of them, so here we go. That's what we're gonna do. I don't need the rest of the stair. Horse. Oh, that's the wrong layer.
Horse. I see the horse.
Come on, pen. Get down there, tablet. Okay, we got the horse. The horse is in a clear zone, safe for landing. Okay, so they're asking about the shoulders. I did crop their picture. The horse is walking down a flight of stairs that then goes down the opposite direction.
I do have one question. Is this a full-grown pony or a kid? Just so I can think size-wise.
Yeah.
Or midget.
Really
Wait,
itty
are there
bitty, a
midget
teacup
ponies?
pony.
I haven't ever seen a midget pony.
I've seen
I mean, they
short
have
ponies.
the ones they always put in sweaters. Can't think of their names. Okay. No, that's totally fine. I mean, I just wanted to get an idea because right now the stairs seem rather large for a horse to walk up. It's almost like the stairs were meant for another creature, and this pony is dwarfed by the size of the stairs. So that's a really easy fix. Make the stairs smaller. Um, and we can, instead of having to like redraw the whole pony because the stairs are infinitely like they're just geometrical shapes. Boop, 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 boop.
But I carved him out
Okay.
of stone.
Kato, please switch layers when I tell you to switch layers.
Did you use any reference when making this picture? Because even if you're not even if you don't have a reference that's exactly the pose you want, it's really helpful to have a reference up. And what you can kind of do is look between what you're drawing and look between the reference. And right now, you've made the observation that you feel like you made the legs too small, right? So you can look between your image and you can look between the reference. Ah, sweet, you have a reference here. Measure and compare. It's completely okay to maybe like take your thumbnail and hold like your thumb against the reference and be like, okay, so I can kind of see that the width of this pony, this sunset, is about, for me, it's like half the width of the tip of my thumb. And then I can go back over to my art and hold my thumb up to the art and be like, okay, so I'm looking at your drawing here, and your hoof here is about a fourth of the width of my thumb. So simple things like that, measuring, comparing, going back and forth, can really help you learn from the image, catch yourself when you feel like something's off. It's a lot of what artists do, right? We're at the end of the day, artists are problem solvers. So it's not a matter of, oh, I know how to draw everything in my mind all the time. It's a matter of, I know how to figure out how to draw that thing. So don't be afraid to, go back and forth, compare, contrast, see what's different. If and it's so good. I'm so happy to hear that you're like, oh, I feel like I make the legs too small. That's so good. You have the instinct to pick that up, right? So now you have the instinct to know how to start to try to fix it. Because you're like, that's the thing that feels off.
Yeah. No worries.
All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Any other art they'd like to submit? Any other commissions they'd like to send to Aliquan?
Like no takers.
Calling once, calling twice. Sold to
No
Zom.
one.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to be calling it a day. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye bye.